Hey, this is Alex with the Unbiased Trailblazer podcast. Make sure to follow us on Spotify so you can catch every new episode that we post. Also, follow us on Twitter at Unbiased Blazers. In our bio, there's a link to join our Discord server where you can join in on the discussion. You can give us takes, comments, questions for us to talk about on future episodes. Now, let's get to the show. Rip City, baby.
Rip City, there's no pity. We stay litty. Jaguar. Red city. Red city. Hand down, man down. I set it off, repeat down. Hand down, man down.
What is up, Rip City? Welcome to the 10th episode of Unbiased Trailblazers. I know it's been a little while. We had some news today that broke, and I think it's about time we put an episode in. So we're actually without Fawad right now. There's a possibility that he joins back in, but as of right now, it's just me and Mike. So we're going to get this started. We woke up this morning to some pretty crazy news that kind of was unexpected all of a sudden. It was reported that Lillard was about to announce that he wanted to be traded, and it kind of came out of nowhere because it happened a couple weeks ago, and he kind of shot those rumors down, saying that if it was going to come from him, if any trade request came out, it would be from him. And then kind of out of nowhere, it was like he is about to do it, so get ready. And then after a couple hours, there was nonstop madness on Twitter. It was the number one trending thing. And then we heard that there was a USA basketball practice because Dame is on the USA basketball team, and that he would address the media after practice at 12:30. And it ended up not happening until about 1:45, and that made me honestly get a little nervous because why does it keep getting pushed back? But let's just start off right off the bat, Mike. When you woke up this morning, or actually, I guess you're way ahead in time zone. So when you saw the reports that Lillard was going to ask for a trade, what was your first thoughts?
Yeah, it was kind of after lunch for me. I saw them, and instantly I was kind of, I don't know, kind of confused, but also a little bit skeptical because there was no legit source like Chris Haynes or Woj or Shams. None of those guys were actually commenting on that, so I was kind of like, a few kind of used sources were on it, but I didn't really took that info. But for me the afternoon, for you the morning, as the afternoon went along, more news kept coming out, more informations on what teams wanted him, already informations that the Miami Heat already had proposed something. So yeah, basically a few hours after it came out, I was like, already, Dame's gone. And,
exactly.
And we for sure needed that interview that he gave, but we'll get to it. It wasn't enough.
Yeah, it was weird that you wake up or you're after lunch, you see this report, and then you just see everybody on Twitter, we're gonna trade this package for this package, and it was like every single trade package I was reading, I was like, that's a terrible trade. Why would we even consider that, even if he did want out? It's just fans being fans and trying to just wish Lillard onto their team. We're gonna jump into the interview that happened after the practice. Of course, it was the very first question that was asked to him. He was asked, that there's been rumors that you are going to be asking to be traded. And how would you respond? And he said, how would you respond to those? And very first thing is he says, it's not true. Right off the bat, he says, no, that's not true. And like last time, he said, if something's going to be said, it's going to come from him. It's not going to come from somebody. And to be honest with you, I don't even know who that dude was that first initially released it. I had never heard of his name before. Let me see if I can remember off the top of my head what it was. Do you remember what it was?
The
It was
first one's
Henry Abbott. I've never even heard of that guy.
True Hoop.
Yeah, and he came out saying he was going to request a trade. I don't know where he got that from. Maybe he was just trying to stir something up. But Lillard immediately shot it down, saying it's not true. If anything's going to come, it's going to come from me, and he's going to talk to the front office, and it'll be between them. It's not going to be out in the public, which he said that from the get-go. So when I first heard this rumor, I didn't believe it because it's not coming from him. What was your when he first got on and when you heard the interview and you heard that first question? What was your initial thoughts when he was about to talk?
I don't know, because I've shared before here that I wouldn't mind Lillard getting traded because I want the best for him, and right now this is not the best for him. But it still makes me sad that he has to leave. Like, the reality coming in, and maybe seeing Lillard in the uniform still hurts me. So like when he said it's not true, I kind of relieved a little bit, although I said before that I wanted him traded. But like 10 seconds later, and this was a pattern all throughout the interview, that in the first part of the answer, he completely refutes that he requested a trade, that he's thinking about leaving. But on the second part of the answer, he opens up the possibility, and you can kind of see by that he ain't even decided with himself. So it's still, if it's gonna happen, it's still there's a lot to happen for that to be for the trade to actually happen, because almost every question he did, in the first part he says, "Oh, it's not true," and the second part is, "I don't know what my future will be." Like on this question, he said, "I haven't made any firm decision what my future will be." So he just denies the reports that came out, but he didn't say that he didn't think about getting traded. So yeah, that's what I had. 10 seconds of relief and pain again.
Yeah, and for me, and this is all up for interpretation because we'll never really know what it means. He knows what it means. Probably Neil O'Shea probably knows what it means. For me, it's like he's putting the pressure on the front office.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm telling you, no, I do not want to be traded. But things need to be changed. We have to make moves that are winning moves. We have to try to win, which he talks about a little bit later. And if not, I'm not certain what my future holds. I might want to be traded eventually. So that's how I took it. I know other people think that means like, I don't want to be traded, but maybe I do. I don't know. I mean, there's lots of different ways to take it. That's just the way I took it. I don't know if you took it any way different.
Yeah, in my opinion, I think no one knows better than Dame than what he wants, but even Dame doesn't know what he wants. So, as he said later in the interview, when he asked, and he was asked about the trade destinations, he said we're not at that point, which means that even if he's having any doubts about staying here, if the front office is not showing any energy to get the team rolling, even if Dame is already thinking that, it's still far away from actually happening. And
Exactly.
the finals are still happening. There's a lot of off season to happen, draft, trade, signings.
Exactly.
So it's too soon to say. Dame knows better than us. For him to come out on an interview and talk about a front office, it's because something's alarming there, and maybe the expectations of the front office for this team are not the same as Dame, which is what I got from one of the later questions, but we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah, so he talks about another question he gets asked is in another interview he had with Chris Haynes. He talks about after every season in the off season, he looks back at how he can get better and how the team can get better. And they asked if he had talked with Chauncey and Neil O'Shea about that. And essentially, this is what he's saying. He says that they need to be more urgent. they've been a winning team. We've had every season has been a winning season for us, except for last year with the weird, the bubble and everything. But we still made the playoffs. They've had success during the regular season. It's once you get to the postseason that everything falls apart. And so what he's saying is we need to be more urgent. We're kind of just sticking with what we have every year and maybe adding like one small little piece and hoping that's the piece that we need. And he's saying it's time to make the big move. We need to change something. We've been good for most of the year, and it's that last part of the year that we need to be good for. So go ahead, Fuad, or Mike, if you have anything you want to add on there.
Yeah, he kind of gets the point home on every question that he feels that the roster is not good enough, even the current one. Because it's something that I think is weird. You mentioned the bubble and that season, because we didn't see him complain about the roster, but half the season we were playing Anthony Tolliver big minutes.
Oh God!
So now
Don't remind me.
Yeah, so now that our worst of the worst players getting minutes is maybe like Rondé Hollis Jefferson or Anthony Simons. If those are your worst players, I think it's a very good roster. But I kind of agree on Dame that he says, we lost to a hurt team. He says that later on.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think the roster is bad. I think the roster failed him, and that's two different things.
Yeah. I mean, like we said in the earlier podcast, I truly think the moves we made this offseason, this, like we said before, this was our best offseason in a long time. We made moves that made us, on paper and logically, made us get better. And unfortunately, it just never got put together to be better. It was weird. The roster we had, we should have done, especially in that first round. We should have definitely beat Denver. Missing Jamal Murray, missing Will Barton. Lillard playing out of his mind in that series. We should have won that series, and I think that's one of the biggest frustrations for Lillard is looking back at that and knowing that should have been a win.
That's the best game he ever had in his whole career, in my opinion.
Yeah. And that really sucked.
And yeah, we lost.
So I want to ask you one thing. Like I said earlier, I feel like he's trying to put pressure on the front office to make some changes. And we've heard previously that the front office wasn't really planning on making roster changes.
Yeah.
Do you think this changes their idea? Because the Neil O'Shea and Chauncey Billups did fly out to Vegas after that interview to talk with Lillard. So clearly there's some urgency with them even.
Yeah, because what goes in my opinion, in this subject, what goes to public is what they know. So they saw Lillard once out, and they instantly called Lillard, and he probably gave the same energy that he did on the interview. That I want to stay here, but I want to get a ring. So we gotta make moves. If we don't make moves, I don't know what's the rest for my career. And yeah, maybe they got a dash, and they said, we gotta hop in a plane, we gotta meet him, and it really contrasts from what Neil O'Shea said in the Chauncey Billups presentation. And even in his interview prior to that, he constantly affirmed that this roster was good. He didn't want to make moves. He wants this starting five. He wants this bench. And now, 2 weeks later, his star comes out saying this ain't it. And if he says this ain't it, then you gotta comply because it's your best player. With Dame, there's no contending right now in a realistic universe. And yeah, I think that's why they flew out, because I think some things have changed since Chauncey got signed. Maybe Lillard playing in the USA team and playing with other players, maybe playing with Draymond, which is a guy he wanted in Portland for many years, and still hasn't gotten him. Even in his later part of the career, he'd be really good. And yeah, I think something in the USA team made him spark, and he wants better.
So I'm gonna read this real quick. It says the question was, Neil O'Shea has said he doesn't believe the roster was the problem last season, and that a new coach and playing better defense can get the team closer to contention. And they asked him if Lillard shares that view, and kind of like what you were just talking about. Lillard essentially says, yeah, some teams can change their coach and get a new voice and proves himself. But this is where it kind of gets a little, he kind of puts a little dig in there. He says, but I think if you look at our team as it is going into next season, I don't see how you can say, all right, this is a championship team. You just need a new coach when we lost in the first round to a team that was hurt. That right there that's Lillard literally saying, we have to make a change. We can't go back into next season with the same roster and expect a coach to, be the solution to this issue. And yeah, maybe we win the first round, but with that roster, the way they played, I agree with them. I don't see how we can win.
Yeah, that was a really hard dig. I wasn't expecting him to go in like that because Lillard has never been like that. He's like that positive guy. As I said before, he can be playing with Anthony Tolliver starting at power forward, and he's still that positive guy that says, "Oh, I can wait at all." But I think age is finally getting to him. He's 31 today. So he maybe thought, yeah, holy damn, I'm 31. I gotta I press the front office to do something, or I gotta move because realistically, it's been 10 years of trying and not succeeding. Although we've always been the winning team, in the season, in the postseason, we're not. And I think that finally catches up to Lillard, and he knows that he needs maybe a second star, maybe. I don't say more depth because I think we had very good depth, but
I agree.
We just lack the playmaker off the bench, and that's really hurt us. But yeah, that would be an easy trade to get a playmaker. Yeah, but I think he wants a second star right now, and this is his quote unquote cry for help. And this question really made drive the point home. It's just you can see in his voice and the way he puts it in. There's a lot of frustration in him right now, and for sure in this question I knew like this guy either something changes or he's not here for this season for sure.
Exactly. And something has to change. And we said that as soon as the season was over, there's going to have to be change because they started out making change, getting rid of Stotts and, finding a coach. But that's not enough. You're still going to have to do something else. And I wanted to add on to your point. You saying he's 31 and the urgency he has. He knows there's not very many more years that he can do what he's been doing. He's undersized. He has to work a lot harder for the points that he gets. Eventually he's going to start to slow down, and he knows that. He can't just keep being Superman 24/7. So I totally agree. It's now or never, essentially, is pretty much what he's saying. So, and Ed, do you have anything else you want to add? Because I think we'll just wrap it up right here.
Yeah, not a lot to add. He did a couple more questions, and I would just like to point out in the interview that he kind of goes downhill. Like in the last questions, he's like he's getting more frustrated, although he's not emotionally frustrated. You can see that as the questions go along, he kind of gets tired, and he just wants like to really express that he's not happy.
And I think part of it is he's not the one that came out starting these rumors. So part of him is probably annoyed that he's having to, because like I said, he's kind of a no bullshit kind of guy. He's kind of annoyed that he has to deal with these questions when he has already said, I will be the one to tell you if I want out.
Yeah. And
he's still having to deal with it. So I get that he's frustrated with that, but I also get that he's frustrated with the team, and he's trying to drive the point home. They asked him, since you said you haven't determined your future, does that mean you're not fully committed to the upcoming season? And this is kind of, once again, he kind of goes back and forth a little bit. He says, right now, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. What I can say is my intention in my heart has always been set on being a Trailblazer. his entire career, and he said that from the get-go. That's his goal. But he's also said that he wants it to be. He doesn't want to just be on the Trailblazers for his whole career just to say he was on the Trailblazers. He wants Portland to be competitive and to make moves necessary to keep winning. And that's essentially what he's saying is, I feel like if we don't make moves, we're not trying to win anymore. We're just okay with being subpar, winning the regular season, losing the playoffs. And then at the very end, they say, to be clear, do you expect to be in a Portland uniform this season? And he says, yeah, I expect it. So you end on a good note, but there's still that just little, he wants to win and he wants changes to be made. And I mean, we've already said it. Neil O'Shea I think it's time for him to go. I think that's one of the changes we need. And I have a feeling Lillard would be right on there with that.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I mean, time will tell. He's, like we said, he's playing with USA Basketball, so that's going to give him time to recruit players. Hopefully it's not the other way around where players start trying to recruit him, which I'm sure they're doing, but
I'm sure more of the second is happening than the first.
And a couple of my friends have talked about this. Portland already is in a place where a lot of people want to come to.
Yeah.
And we've never had this type of issue with Portland where everything is just insane. So this is only making Portland look like less of a desirable place. So it's like, it's kind of worrisome, but we'll get in, like we've been saying, we'll get it more in once the NBA finals are over, USA basketball's over, and it kind of calms down a little bit. We'll get more into the off-season stuff. We've still got a couple more weeks to go with that. But I felt like today was a pretty important day with everything that was going around to do an episode on. So with that being said, I think we're going to wrap it up. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys have any questions, like I said, feel free to follow our Twitter, join our Discord, come in there, ask questions. We've been talking a lot more in the Discord as of late, so come in and join in on the conversation. Always, more people the better. So we look forward to the next episode, and hopefully it has nothing to do with Lillard being traded, because I don't like talking about it. Hopefully it has to do with. Actually, I want to ask you one question before we wrap up. Do you think now more than ever Lillard's kind of telling them it's time to trade CJ?
Yeah,
okay.
That's for sure what I got from the
Yep, me too. That's exactly what I got. The song tonight was from I Am Jordan. It's called Rip City. Check him out on Spotify, YouTube, all the major streaming services. He's got music on there. Give him some support. Okay, well, everyone, have a good night. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. And as always, Rip City, baby.
Man down, I set it off for B-Town. Man down, I set it off for B-Town. I came to ball out, Mo to Santa, bring the crowd out. OG finna air it out, center court, time to wild out. I started tapping my wrist, you know what time it is. Step back through the wave, send her up to his grave. There's no pity in the city of roses. I got the city riding with me, young blazer, I'm focused on the prize. Fire in my eyes.